Oh, it fits better. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to get started. Okay. Let's just hope that everyone can see really clearly. I'm going to try to move it. So where? Oh, yeah, you can see. Okay. Hi, Bunny Bun. All right. I think this is going to work. Let's try this angle and see how it works. So it looks great on the YouTube live. It looks decent here. You can see exactly what I'm working on. You don't need to see my pattern. That doesn't matter um, because you have to buy the book. So let's just go over a couple of little things. All right. Will lose their subscription benefits soon. Oh, hey. So if you subscribe to the channel, it says we'll lose your benefits soon. Okay. I don't know if there's any benefits. I don't know how everything works. So just bear with me as I get through all of, maybe the shortfalls that I don't know things about all of these different channels and things, but I appreciate everyone coming on. So what we're working on today is the Flower Farm Sampler Quilt. So we have made several blocks already. I have put them all away and hung them up because they're massive, they're big, and they just take up so much space. So I have put them all away and we'll work with them again once we need them. I'm not going to show you them today, but we've done block. We've done this here, block 1. That was block 1, block 2, and block 3. So you do need the book in order to get the cutting instructions and all of her instructions on how to put all of this together. The people that are sewing along already have the book. And if you don't have the book, it's brand new, so there should still be lots out there. You can get it from somewhere that sells books or your favorite quilt shop if they have it, your local quilt shop or your favorite quilt shop. So we're going to make, now we're into smaller blocks. I don't know about all of you, but I was able to cut the pieces for this block really quickly. I think it took me about, I'm going to say 20 minutes to half an hour because I have all my fabrics already picked out. I made my little chart at the beginning with all of the color choices. So I just had to grab the numbers that I needed based on my color chart here. And I have, just grab one right here. I have all my fabrics out, but they have numbers on them. So this is number 19. So when it says fabric 19, cut this, I can just easily, quickly grab it and it works great for me. So that's what I'm doing. You could use scraps. When I made the Barnster sampler, which is by the same author, I simply used a certain fabric. I was focusing on indigenous prints, but I couldn't do the whole quilt in indigenous prints. I didn't have enough. So I just focused on making sure that each block had some indigenous prints in them. And that's kind of how that worked. And I know some of you are ahead, have gone ahead with your blocks, and that's okay. You don't have to follow along exactly if you don't want to, but I really love sewing with all of you. So let's get started. So the other unfinished, this block is 16 and a half unfinished. 4 or 5 are. So 7 is, 8 is, 9 is, that would be 5, 9. So from block 4 to block 9 are the same size at 16 and a half. So that's 5 or 6. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6. All right. So let's get started. Again, we're trying it at a different angle. We'll see how it works. If we don't like it, let me know in the comments, either on our YouTube channel or on our TikTok. Let me know if this angle is weird for you. I think it's good because you can really see what I'm doing. All right, so we're going to take our H fabrics, which is from our background fabric. So H fabrics, we're making 2 blocks at the same time. We're going to take our I fabrics, these are both rectangular blocks, and then we're going to take our V fabrics, whatever that fabric is. So these are the I and H are our background, so whatever you're using for your background, and then B is Cut from fabric 12, whatever that is for you. So first we're going to take B and I, and we're going to sew these together. Put my needle down, and I'm going to start sewing those two together. There we go. I was doing some binding today while I was at the Quilts for Survivors studio. I did some, myself and our studio manager, studio assistant, came up with a good rhythm. I did the back. We always do machine binding, so sew it onto the back and bring it forward to the front. So I sewed it on the back, put the label on as I was sewing it, and then closed it up. Joined the binding, and then pass it over to Ken, and he was able to do the front part. And he said it went really smoothly, so I was really happy because we got 4 quilts done in record time, I think. It went really quickly, really smoothly. Yeah, no issues with it. Well, that's not true. I broke a needle. That was the only issue, was I was sewing along and then my needle broke right in half. I don't know what happened, but it broke. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I might have pulled on, I think I might have pulled on the quilt or something and it broke it, but I'm not sure because I didn't pull that hard. But anyways, a new needle, super, it was nice and sharp and sewed really well. All right, I'm gonna sew a bonus block. So I love to chain piece. You can sew these together however you want. This is just how I'm doing it. And I have these bonus blocks to sew together. So there's my first chain link with a bonus block on it. These bonus blocks, I'd say bonus block because you don't need them to do for this block. They're not needed. They're just what I'm doing. Okay. So right here is my new cutting tape, my new pressing table. I love it. I want to thank Sue and Dave for purchasing that for me. I really love it. And on the back here, you can see that it has a pegboard, and I've put all of my large rulers on there. So this, 12 and a half, I have a really big triangular ruler, and I have like my Stripology ruler and my big 16 and a half and 18 and a half. So I stuck those on there, and it freed up a lot of space on my pegboard up here. And I'm able to keep the rulers that I use more often there. And then some of my rulers, like my 10-inch and my 8.5 and stuff like that, are over there on the larger cuttings area. Just for ease. And I have all my tiny ones here, up to like, I don't know, 6.5, I think, is all I have here. And that works for I'm just, mostly what I cut here is I trim and piecing. So that I don't have to get up and go way over to my small iron, and I have my little small cutting area. It's a full-size mat though, but it's more for sewing small. Okay, so I have sewn my I's and my B's together, and they go at the bottom of my H. So you want to make sure that your B is in the right corner so that everything goes together nicely. We're going to sew this together and press towards the H fabric after we sew. So again, sewing together. Good evening, Laura. And I see some other people on. I know Missy's on, and a bunch of other names that are too far away. Sometimes the reason I know some names is because I recognize your picture. And I'm like, oh, I know who that is. So I apologize if I don't say your name specifically, but where the camera is, it's a little far and the screen is kind of small. Maybe someday I'll have a setup where I have a big screen and I can really see clearly everything that's going on. So again, I'm sewing both blocks at the same time. I'm just going to sew both blocks. I thought maybe I'd sew one, but I figured, why not just sew two? I have the time. The kids are playing. They're okay. I've ate supper. It was a little busy after work because I came home. I had a few little things to do. Someone is on. I don't know who that is on. Let me see. Oh, Laura's on YouTube too. Awesome. I had a few little things to do, and then I had to make supper. But they loved their wraps, but they're really tired. So this is the first like day they've had to get up at a set time, or I had to wake them up in order to get them to the sitters. They were going to their brother's, and he thought it'd be easier for him if he watched them from home. And he said, no. And it's not easier to watch them from home. I think I'll just come to your house. I'll just come to the house and watch them. So I'm grateful that he's able to do that for me, watch the kids. It just works with his schedule that he's free to watch them when I'm at work. So with my other babysitter, got a job and I'm so proud of her. She'll be missed because the kids really loved hanging out with her. And she's a good babysitter, but she wants to get some experience for, career wise, and she also wants to, make obviously more money. Babysitting doesn't make as much money as some other jobs, so she's quite happy, and I'm happy for her. So now I have all of my H's sewn on. So these are my corner unit. Now we do have to spice them up a little bit. Yes, is this the ones we spice up? No. No, I think we leave these as they are. Yes, these are left as they are. They don't have any fancy pieces like the other ones did, or the corner units, we did something fancy to them. These ones are just left like this. So I'm pressing them all towards the H as instructed in the pattern. That'll help everything nest. And if you follow, usually, not always, but usually they have worked out all the kinks, and if you follow their pressing guide, then everything should nest. There isn't usually too many issues. Sometimes I have found, if it's a free pattern or if it's just a random pattern, sometimes the pressing instructions might be difficult. Or they might miss some. I've noticed where sometimes they don't tell you which direction to press one unit or something, and then I usually end up pressing it wrong, but you can always adjust it and make it so it works. All right, so there is our corner units. There's 8 of them. All of the B's should be in the bottom right corner so that you have them all in the right orientation for pressing. Okay, now I realize it's just the same background. You could adjust it if you made a mistake, but if you want your longer rectangle in the same space and it's recommended in the pattern, then you need to make sure that your B fabric is in the right spot. All right, so that was step 1. There's only 8 steps in this whole block, so we're moving right along. Let's go to step 2. We need C, E, and J. Use a C, E, and 2 J's to make parallel square and a square unit as shown. Okay, so we're going to take C, and you're going to make 8. I think we have to make 2. So there are more than 8 C fabrics. There are 16. So you're going to take half of them. 2, 4, 6, 8. And we're going to put the other half away. And there's some of my pieces have I was going to call that a 3-horn because I grew up with Littlefoot, right? Where they just gave them funny names, but it's a Triceratops. So we're going to make some of those. Then at the top, we're going to put 2 J's, which is our background fabric. Whatever that looks like, you're going to need half of them. Do you need half of them? Maybe half of them. Half of them would be, 16 and 16 times 62 is 32. Yes. So half of those, I'm just going to leave them there. I think it'll be okay. And then you need your E's. And your E's are cut from fabric 14. Whenever you chose to cut your 14. So those are your E fabrics. So we need half of those. 2, 4, 6, 8. The reason we need 16, actually, I could probably just take 2 piles and then just move those over there. Okay, So what we're going to do is I have laid out, I think you can kind of see this. I have laid out my squares here, and I've put my J background squares at the top and my E squares, which is fabric 12, at the bottom right, beside the bottom right of my square. I did that because that's how I want them to sew together. So I want, actually, I could split these. So we're only doing 3 corners. So we're doing the 2 top at the 2 background at the top and the 1 on 1 corner. So we can do opposite corners, and then we'll have to press and trim to do that final corner. So I'm going to start with this corner so that I can do both corners at the same time. Now you can draw the line with whatever marking tool you want to use. You can use a pencil, you can use those friction pens, you can use chalk, whatever will show up on your fabric. I'm not going to draw the line at all. I'm going to use my diagonal seam tape. I'm going to stitch right on that line. And I'm going to do all of my pieces. I want that one. I'm going to do all of my pieces the exact same way. So I'm going to do all the one corner, and I'll come back and do the opposite corner, the parallel corner. I have some fun things on my fabric where the dinosaurs are. I didn't fussy cut it, but I do want to leave at least something. No, I want it to be in that corner. And these are square, so I can really do it however, whatever way I want, because the C is a square. So it is. I know in some patterns you cut something, it's almost a square, but it's not quite a square. See, that one will be a complete on the wall, an almost complete triceratops. Stitching right on that line, or slightly to or scant if you want. I usually just sew right on the line and don't really have any issues. Oops. I was looking at it and there's a tail in it, but there's also a really pretty flower. I think if I sew it this way, at least the pretty flower will stay. I'm not worried about direction of the fabrics at all. I'm just not going to worry about it. Go. And I guess I have one more. Okay. I think I took some squares from the other one. I'm trying to move it. Okay. So then I'm going to cut off a whole whack of these, and I think I might have to separate them in order to get that additional line on. So if you're just joining, good evening, Wache. We are making a block 4 of the Flower Farm Sampler quilt from the Flower Farm Sampler book. You do have to have the book in order to sew along. You're welcome to join at any time. Welcome to just watch. So I enjoy listening to people sew when I'm doing my chores or doing something that, I don't really need to watch necessarily, but I do love the sound of the sewing machine. So I am sewing these in the opposite corner. So this is my E fabric. I will put another J fabric in this corner. But because I love the chain piece and I love to sew, continuously sew, I don't stop until I need to trim and press. Not me bringing Jack out already. Oh, that's too bad. That's okay. That's why we own seam rippers, because we know that we're not perfect and we make mistakes. Don't stress. This is supposed to be fun and enjoyable, so don't stress. Right. So the most important part of this particular unit is that we put the white side by side. This goes in the right bottom corner, right as in the right side, but also right as in the right place to go. And watch your seams, your diagonal seams. She usually shows you where those diagonal seams go, and this one she doesn't. So refer back to a square in a square on page 11 if you're looking for how to put those units. All right? And don't stress. Again, it's supposed to be fun and entertaining, and Bunny's just running around. She's so cute. I started 2 squares to the wrong side of the big square. Oh. I don't know. If someone says they haven't done that, I don't know if I believe them. Unless they've never sewed anything in their life. I was actually watching a Tulip Pink Instagram yesterday, and she was showing all these beautiful Biani bags. And she's like, I wonder who hasn't made a Biani bag. I've never made a Biani bag. So I'm that person who's never made a Biani bag. They look great. I don't want to make bags. I'll make a really quick little canvas tote or something, but I really don't want to get into bag making. There's a lot of things you need, and if I start making bags, maybe I won't make as many quilts, and there's a lot of quilts I want to make. I haven't made it by any either. There you go. So there's a couple of us who haven't made one. They look really nice though. I mean, if someone made me one, I would love it and I would not complain, but I myself don't have time for that right now. So this is a bonus block. I always try to let you know, just so you don't get confused. All right. So now we have all of our pieces together. We've done 2 corners, and we're going to put the other J square in the opposite corner. So we're only doing 3 of the corners. Yes, 3 of the corners. Just 3. Okay, so now I'm going to cut these apart. I think you can see that. Some of the pictures look better on one social media than the other, but they all work. So what we're going to do is you can press them first if you want. I'm going to cut them first. That's the way I almost always do it. You can actually dump on my garbage can because, man, it's full. Okay. Now, these are too small for me to keep. These, I only added a 2 1/4. I keep them if I add a 2 1/2 or a bigger piece. So these I will not keep. They are too small for me and I can't be bothered. I just don't want them. They're too small. So I'm cutting them off and I'm throwing them away. I have too many as it is. I have to draw the line somewhere. It's just too tiny. So I'm cutting with scissors. Cut this because the seams are cutting off the extra. And you could keep these if you want, but by the time you see a heck of a lot left. There really isn't. If it was foundation paper piecing, then yes, you could get a really cute thing from it. But okay, but that's personal preference. You can keep them if you want to. There's a comment. I have to get closer to the comment. She's just running around. Hey, you took my fabric. Funny. You remind me of my grandma. She used to sew, but unfortunately she's not able to sew anymore. Aw, well, I appreciate that I remind you of your grandma. I am not a grandma. I could be. I'm old enough to be a grandma, I guess. I have older children. I just have not been blessed yet. Maybe someday. But thank you. That is a huge honor because I loved my grandma. She was a little quirky, but who isn't? But I really loved her. And I miss her every day. My machine here is named Helen after me. grandmother taught me to sew. But she was just, she always included me. She always talked to me. She always, checked in on how I was doing whenever she saw me. And she was very supportive of me. From what I remember, anyways. So that was my grandma. And I only had one grandma. We called the other one, my dad's mom, Nanny. I think it's an East Coast thing. But she was not that supportive person. Just wasn't her. All right. So depending on where you are, because we all make little oops, and have to fix things. But what I've done so far is I have my one background square here, and then I have my one E square here. My other background square is going to go here. I don't put anything in this corner, so I did kind of pick things in the block that I wanted to kind of showcase. So let's do this other corner. So the top part of your block needs two backgrounds, and then the bottom right corner needs an E square, whatever that is for you. I'm using, I mentioned it this week, I'm using Tula Pink Roar. I had a 1 yard bundle or a half yard bundle. I don't remember if it was a yard or a half yard. I don't know. It cost me a lot, but that's okay. I have that. All right. So I'm just going to keep sewing. Here again, draw the line from corner to corner and sew on that line. I am not keeping these triangles that I'm cutting off. I find them too small. As we started with smaller than what I normally would keep. And it's a quarter. It's not even like a full size or a half size. It's a quarter cut. I was like, oh boy. A little bit different to look for that on more. Not something I cut often. But I did find these two blocks much easier to cut. It seemed like it just went so much faster. And they were, more of my usual size, those 24.5-inch blocks. Like they're like a table cover in a block. And there's 6 of them in this quilt, so this quilt's going to be massive. I've made, as I mentioned, the Barn Star sampler, so I understand. I think I cut in a couple extra ones of these. I remember how it was constructed, and you don't usually with quilts, you make a block, then you sew rows together, and this is similar. However, you make all your blocks, then you lay it out, and then you sew, 3 or 4 blocks together, then you sew another group of blocks together, maybe 2, and so on. Until you get your row finished, and then you have your row. Then the next one is, 4 or 5 blocks, a big block, maybe 3 blocks, and that's kind of how that one goes. So that's how this layout is a little bit different. It's not just simply, 4 across and 5 down or something like that. But it is very easy, and if all your blocks are trimmed properly and follow all the instructions, it'll go together really well. All right, so let's trim these apart. I think these are done. And I believe these are done, and they should finish at 4. So just cutting off those bonus blocks. We're gonna just press these. I don't know if I leave them looked. It doesn't. Well, there's no pressing. You'd have to go back to that page. I think it was 11 to get the pressing instructions. So if you're having any issues, I recommend that. Right. So now we're cutting off those sides again. I'm just using scissors. If I was keeping that end, I would probably use a rotor. I'd want it to be nice and straight. And happy July, everyone. I don't think I came on at all yesterday. I live in Canada, and we went out to where my sister and her family have their trailer, And we went out there for the day and we went swimming and we probably ate way too much junk food. And had a lot of fun though. I really enjoyed it. The kids played, they rode bikes. Joe, my youngest, who's 8, lost a tooth yesterday. She also learned to ride a 2-wheeler. And she did so great. She's about 90% there. And she's doing really, really well. She's determined to a certain point. Then she gets a little frustrated and then she's like, okay. So let's see. I'm going to just check these to see if they are that 4-inch square because I just want to see. This one's got a little bit of a bump on it. So I'm just going to cut this off, trim this, grab so I'm using a 4-inch, 4.5-inch square ruler. It's just that one corner. And I'm going to cut this square now. So square, square. So square, square. There we go. I'm just going to check it because I want to make sure that they're as accurate as possible. I'm not worried if they're not going to be accurate. I just don't want any extra because of how I shrink. I'd rather trim it up a little bit. They look really cute though. I often use a collection to help me, or I use similar designers, fabrics that are similar, because I'm not really good at picking fabrics that work well together. I'm not always the best at that, but I'm learning and I'm forcing myself to learn. So I'm doing the Moda blockheads. I've never done it before. And I'm forcing myself to pick my own colors and trying to do a good job with that. So sometimes when I line this up, it is wonky. So I'm going to trim it myself, but I'm going to trim the others. Because it didn't matter how I laid it out, it was all 4 sides were not accurate. Oh, that's a little better. Now I'm not shaving off a bunch. I'm really, really not cutting very much. And I lay it out where my 3, this corner, I never change this corner. So I usually stick it where I don't need to cut that side. Chances are it's going to be very accurate. That one I probably didn't even need to trim. Since I had done all the work to line it up, and I had a little overhang, I might as well just cut it off. Okay, so those are all done. I didn't square up my other blocks. I'm assuming that they're okay because they were very easy to sew together. But if you want to check those, I believe they're the same size. Okay. I believe, I don't know. I don't know. No, these are 5. These are 5 inches square. These are 4 inches square. Oh my goodness, I just messed them all up. Okay, set those aside. Now we have another unit to make with the same pieces. So we only used half of our pieces, so let's use the other half. So here are our other C squares. Then we need E. Now E, do we need E again? We do. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So we need our other E squares down here, but they're going to go in the bottom left corner. I should have went through these and took out some pieces. Like I could have took this one out and put so that I would cover his leg. Now I'm going to do his face, but you know, I could flip him though. I could like turn him sideways because some of my blocks go sideways. Maybe I'll do that. He'll still lose his head though. I could put him upside down. He'll still lose part of his head. Meh, I don't think it matters. Okay, then we're gonna put we're gonna grab our J. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I counted that, right? And then our J's go back up at the top again. So the only thing that we're changing is where our E square goes. It goes on the bottom left side now. Okay, so these ones go this way. This one goes on the opposite side. And we're going to do it again where we start and we're going to sew to the two alternating corners, and then we'll sew the other one. Our parallel corners. Again, draw your line with whatever marking tool you have. I don't press, I don't do that because I use my diamond seam tape, which I love. I love this diagonal seam tape. I don't know how I ever, well, I didn't have a very good 1/4 inch. Now I have a really good 1/4 inch. I don't think it's perfect. It's pretty consistent though, which is, I think, important as well. It's very consistent, my 1/4 inch, which I like. Yeah, much better. And I'm having a ton of fun. Right, so we're gonna make 8 of these, 4 for each block. We're making 2 blocks. This is block 4 of the Flower Farm Sampler. If you're just joining, we're sewing from this book. The people who are sewing along have a copy of the book. I have no rights to the book, no rights to the pattern. I am simply sewing it, making it because I love it. I made another of Shelley Cavanagh quilts, the Barn Star Sampler, and I fell in love with it. Maybe I could, no, that's okay. How many have I made here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why do I have extra? Let's see, I got extra. I miscount. I thought I had counted correctly, and then I went to count again, and I was like, oh, I didn't cut it up. And I go back, but that's okay. I might need those in the future. So how many do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Yeah, repeat to make 8 units. Again, if you need the actual instructions to make these, go to page 11 in your book. That has all the instructions on how to draw the line. And I don't have to show you all that in the pattern. You can only make this if you have the book. So go. I was thinking of taking out this fabric because it's a print. It has like very large, triceratops on it. But I still used it. I didn't fussy cut it. I just cut it. I felt there was just too many pieces, and I had fussy cut them before. Eyeballing all these corners or stitch and flip corners, however you want to call it, and I just felt that it was too much work without a lot of benefit. Okay, because the triceratops are so large. So I have sewn all 8 of my corners. I'm going to sew in the opposite corner now to that, and then I'll sew the other white one after, right next to it, side by side. I don't know about you, but I need my fabric to go through the machine a set way, or it feels like it's backwards or upside down or something. I think this is going together much faster. I don't know about you, but I feel like than the last several weeks. As we go along, I think it'll just get easier and easier. Okay. This is going well, I think. Sometimes I turn my fabric like I did there. It has a little print on it, and I wanted the moon to show. Stars and moons. Right. This is gonna look great. We are doing so well. We're moving right along here, and I like that. There we go. I have 2 more to do. I have found that the diagonal seam tape has really helped me out. It's definitely going faster. Yep, definitely. It really is. Those other blocks were massive. And I was listening to someone and they said 8 hours to cut and make those other blocks. And we sewed ours in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I don't think it took me 6 hours to cut it. They said 8 hours. We need to make those big blocks. And I think we did those in, well, if it was 8 hours, I think we did them in record time. All right. So there's our big chain. I'm going to, oh, there's another comment here. The cutting was a long process on those big ones. There was a lot of cutting. Definitely didn't take me half an hour to cut those ones. And you use a lot of fabric because they're big blocks. Like you're cutting 6.5, 9-inch pieces. And that is big. I like the way the book is laid out because you start with your largest pieces and then you gradually get smaller. And your fabric is going to gradually get smaller, have less and less. It's out well, in my opinion, to do the big block. Your largest pieces of fabric up first and not trying to save some for later or trying to, I don't know, if you want to fussy cut it, it just makes it easier. Or yeah, I think it just makes it easier. Because now when you're getting into, tinier pieces, 2-inch pieces and so on, you have cutoffs from your other previous blocks instead of trying to find a 9.5 when you don't have much left because you cut it up all weird. So if you want to join us, grab yourself a copy of the Flower Farm Sampler book by Shelley Cavanagh. She's also doing a sew along. I think it's begun. I'm not sure. But she's starting in reverse order. She's starting with the simplest blocks so that you're building up to what you would like. The Fat Quarter Shop is also having a sew along. They're not having any videos though, from what I understand. It's just a sew along. And of course, you could just buy the book and sew them yourself. You could watch the videos because they are on our YouTube channel. There's no instructions other than I'm telling you what I'm doing because I don't have the rights. But if you would like step-by-step instructions, you can join our class quilt in September. And there's information on our website about that. And that is, it's not a mystery quilt. You do get to see what the quilt looks like. And you can make it for yourself or you can make it for a survivor and donate it to Quilts for Survivors. If you so choose, you don't have to. The classes start in September and we do the third Sunday of every month and they're live over Zoom. So that's always fun because I get to see you, you get to see me, you get to ask questions, you get to show me your beautiful blocks, and we just have a lot of fun. And there's more information on our website, www.quilts with an S for FOR survivors with an S. And you can check it out there and sign up. There are 98 spots available because we pay for our Zoom. We get 100 people can join, and I usually join on 2 devices so that I can see what people are doing on the laptop and then have the camera pointed so that you can see what I'm doing. Questions and comments and stuff like that. So it works really well. At least it has been. You can ask other people what they think. I think it's been working really well. We haven't had any complaints. Okay, so now we've done exactly what we did last time. Make sure that you keep your little extra, your e-fabric, whatever that is, that you keep that in the lower left corner. Very, very important. It has to be opposite of what you did before. Okay, and then you're going to put your white in that odd corner so that the top of your block is white and the bottom only has one corner done. That's very important for the layout of this wall. I'm going to start sewing those. Again, stitching on that line and then trimming away 1/4 inch, pressing it. And then we'll trim up these blocks to the same size as the other ones, 4 inches. All right. So the top of your block should be white. And the bottom of your block should have one corner with a stitch and flip corner. If your blocks are non-directional, you can just make it work. I feel like I don't think I have enough. Uh-oh. Oh no. I almost put that on the wrong side. So just be mindful that you put it on the right side. Because it won't work out if you do it wrong. Hello? Hi, sweetheart. What's up? Huh? Are you okay? I know you were tired. Oh, she's probably sleeping in your room. Are you tired? Not right now? Do you want to go? What? You took a nap. Where did you take a nap? Where? You fell asleep on the chair? Oh, were you comfortable? Oh, I keep wanting to get a couch for down there, but I'm limited to what kind of couch I can get in my basement because the ceilings are very low, the stairs are really steep, and you're just limited because there's a corner. Yeah, that would be great if you could take her outside for the bathroom and give her a treat. She's been a really good girl. Thank you, little love. Okay, you can be out there with her. It's not as hot, I don't think, anymore. Oh, sorry, I missed Laura's comment. I've loved the classes. Oh, thanks, Laura. Thank you so much. So the classes I'm really excited about is you won't find this pattern anywhere else because our own sweet Laura has designed has designed the patterns. And she's taken my class a few years now. I think she's taken all my classes. And she has she knows how I teach and she designed the pattern so that it's how I teach. And I think that's going to be great. I'm really excited. I haven't cut the fabric yet. I should cut the fabric so that I'm ready to go and start making my sample blocks. I will have to do that. I will have to do that. I had someone offer to do them if I brought her all the fabric. And I was like, that's a lot of work to pick all that fabric, but I think I can get the guys, some of my staff to do that for me. I have learned that I am realizing that I can't do everything. All right, there is our lovely chain. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, so let's trim these up. Woohoo! And then we got to press them, and then we're going to square them up. So squaring them up is to make sure that they're that 4-inch finished, or well, unfinished, but it's not sewn into the paint. That's what they are. Is good. One thing to check is if you want is you can take your piece, flip it back, and make sure that it's your top and it's your bottom left corner. Maybe I should have mentioned that, but you want to make sure. Because at this point you could still cut, get your seam ripper out and check and fix it if it's incorrect. So there's all those little steps, but I'm sure that you know this. This way. This way. And then that way. Okay, perfect. So I've done that again. I'm not keeping these ones big or too small, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now, there's a lot of people probably would say, take them, I would want them. Well, you can come get them before it gets thrown in the garbage. I can't bother. I don't mind tiny. I just don't want itsy bitsy. I don't want itsy bitsy. Okay, so there should be 8 of these going this way now. So I'm going to trim these up. And I'm just going to see that I'm going to trim them the best that I can. Because sometimes, and this is one of those times where my block is fine, but there's one spot where it's just a little tight, a little shy. So I'm just, it just doesn't quite reach that right at the edge, but it's still within the seam allowance. That one's fine. Ooh. Just trying to a little bit on this side and a little bit down below. It's looking really good, actually. I really am pleased with how these are turning out. I might have a slight little waver to the one side where, it's not quite at the 1/4 inch, but it's like just a hair off. So I just, I'm telling you that because I don't want you to feel like, oh, mine didn't come out exactly 4. Oh my goodness. I'm getting better though. Because before I used to go, why is my block not the size they recommend in the pattern? And I used to get really frustrated. Then I realized what I thought was a 1/4 inch on my old machine was not. It was not a 1/4 inch. It was much bigger. And once I really learned where the 1/4 inch was, I was able to sew so much better. Okay, that one. I don't even know if that little piece cut off. All right, so let's move that out of the way. So these are ready to go. This is so exciting. Okay. I don't keep those small triangle pieces either. There you go. They're just too small. Now, if it was a little bit bigger and it would finish at 1 inch, I would keep it. But I just can't be bothered. Okay, so I'm just going to line all these up so that when I go, because now the next unit, I'm going to play with these ones. So I'm going to take these units. So what we've made so far, let's just recap, is we've made this corner unit, which is a rectangle, and a square. Very simple, 2 background colors, which my background is white, and then a B fabric. Then we made these fun units. They're called, I don't know if they have a name to them. Square and square. See, stitch and flip, square in a square. We made this one where the E fabric is on the right. And then we made this one, where the E fabric is on the left. And we're going to actually use both of these units and we're going to sew them together. So let's do that. Let's take one and we're going to sew it together. And everything should just nest really nicely. I'm hoping that everything will just go really nicely. So we're going to put them together. Making sure that my E's are together. Because I want to make a little triangle with them. So I'll show you one here. Now that I have a bit of a chain going. This is my bonus block. These are from cutoffs of half square triangle or stitch and flip. So does it say which way to press this? It says to press this seam open. I don't press anything open, so I'm just going to press it to whatever side it wants to go to and really try to get it nice and flat. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, because I'm stitching it. So this is what we're looking for. Okay. Mine might be a little busier than yours, but I have that pink in the center there. Maybe yours is busier than mine. Who knows? And then they want you to take your G's. I'm just going to lift this up and I'm going to grab G. Then they want you to take your G and sew it to the top of this. Okay, and then just sew that strip. So I'm doing Step 4, the full complete step 4. Both of these pieces, both of these are here. Step 4. So I just wanted to show you that. Oh, once it comes up, I will show you again. Just thought that it might be nice to see it, because I don't make a sampler block. I'm just lining everything up, making sure everything is nesting nicely. Again, it is recommended to press these open. I'm pressing mine to whatever side it wants to go to. It is pretty thick though. So if you're worried about the bulk, press open. So that's the finished one. So the two are from unit 2 and unit 3 are together, and then we sew them together, and then we put a G rectangle at the top. And that's the finished unit. So that's all part of step 4. So we're just going to keep going. I wanted to make one so you could see it. I think you can see that. I'm going to place it there. You can kind of see it. So we don't have anyone behind the camera. It's just running. So there's no zooming in, zooming out. There's no one else in the room with me to read the comments. So that's how all of this is playing out. And one of the big reasons I go live is so that you see everything in real time. We get to chat a little bit. And you get to see all my mistakes. And I don't have to edit it. I tried to edit a video and it didn't work. And I just ended up deleting and not posting because I couldn't edit out this one part. And I did not want that in there. It wasn't even a mistake. I was sewing in my pajamas and I hit the camera and it flipped and you saw me in my pajamas, and I didn't want that on the video. So I tried to edit it out and it wasn't working. So I finally just deleted it. So I was like, no. And it wasn't like it was like the end of a long clip. So I couldn't even just redo it. So this is why we go live. There's a funny story for you. Right. So now I have my chain done. I do have one block already done. So sew them together. It's recommended that you press open. I'm pressing to the side, and then I'm sewing a G at the top, and then that unit is complete. And then we'll cut these apart. For those of you just joining, we are working on the Flower Farm Sampler by Shelly Cavana. On social media, she's Chorus Quilts, I think. I think that's what it is. And she is also providing a sew along that you can join if you wish. You do need the book though, even with her sew. You need the book. I don't think she's giving out free information after she wrote such a beautiful book. I think she said it takes 2 years to write a book or something like that. I think it was 2, maybe it was 4. I don't remember, but I think she's working on another book. So I'm excited because I love her patterns. One, she has all the instructions for like stitch and flip corners, triangles, or whatever you want to call them, stitch and flip. She has all those instructions in the front of the book. So it's not repeated with every single block that you're making. So if you're wondering why it's not there, it's because she has it in the front of the book. I like that because usually once I've done the technique, I can do it the next time. Maybe with little to no instructions needed because I remember how I did it. It's easy to find it, and you can read up on all of the different techniques before started in the pattern, which I like as well. She has lots of easy to follow instructions. So right at the beginning of the book, I get nothing for saying this. I bought the pattern at the same price everyone else buys it. She doesn't know who I am, but I like to give I like to give credit where credit is due, and I love a good pattern. I am a pattern lover. I really, really enjoy a pattern. I'm not much of a ad hoc um sewist. I can't just cut things up and get what I want. My brain doesn't work that way. That's why I don't play chess. I can't think of if I make, 4 moves, this is what the moves you're going to make. I'm going to be able to do this. I can't, my brain just doesn't work that way. So I love the pattern. It's easy to follow, easy to get your fabrics and to figure out what you're doing, and then easy to follow along, and lots of visual instructions. Um, I would rather look at it than read it, but I have the option to read it should I need to. So I'm taking my G fabrics and I'm sewing them to the top of these, sewing them to the top where it's all the backgrounds are going to come together. Not sew it if it's not touching background. I can see myself doing that. So sometimes I say these things out loud to you guys, but to myself, don't do it this way so you don't mess it up. And then this should be unfinished at 7.5 by 5. Which makes sense for how long we cut this strip. Okay. And then, of course, when you're pressing, make sure you have no pleats or funky. You want to make things nice and flat. You don't want any pleats or creases. And adjust the size of your block. And not that long ago, I think it was last month, I had a block and it was like 1/4 inch off. And I was like, it's not going to fit in the seam allowance. What am I going to do? And I repressed it, and it was a pressing error. I had a little fold, and once I pressed that fold out, it worked out amazing. I was really, really pleased. I am missing Leon and Kendrick's live on Kins and Clump, and I apologize to them for that. I will have to watch the replay. Right. Okay, so we are doing awesome here. Quilters, this is going so well. I'm so happy. We are just a little over an hour in to at least the live. I don't know exactly what time we started sewing. We are doing awesome. Now I understand that not everyone sews as fast as I do, but I hope you're doing well, and I hope it's going smoothly for you. And I know I have one lady came in and I said, "Oh, you didn't join our live yesterday." She goes, "No, because I'm on block 5." And that was block 3. So I'm sure she's done even more. I haven't seen her yet this week, but she's like, "It was just so much fun. I just had to keep going." And I love that. And that's not an insult. If I introducing you to a fun, exciting pattern that makes you excited and you want to sew it, that means my job is done. Right, so I'm just sewing a bonus block. Yes! I recently changed my bobbin. Well, no, maybe that was the one at the other studio. But I think this one's pretty recent too. I shouldn't run out. Okay, there are all my pieces. So this doesn't have a name other than it's the center side. It's the side unit of the outer part of the block. So there's an inner block and then there's the outer part. This is the side for the outer part. So these are all done. So I'm going to press these, and you're going to press towards that strip that we just sewed on. And I don't find that my blocks are really bulky with that seam not pressed open. It's a little bulky right there at one spot, but I can live with that. And I know that some long armors prefer that your seams are pressed to one side then open. So check check with your long armor. If you're not your own long armor, check with your long armor if they have a preference. You know, do you care if my seams are pressed to the side and pressed open? Only to the side or only open? What do you want? See what they want. Because I've heard other more professional. I don't consider myself a professional long armor yet. I'm still too new. I don't do it as I don't do it as often as I would like. I really want to get down there more. Okay. I'm just so busy. Well, today I did binding, so that was I did get so. All right, so those units are now done. So we have our corner unit, and then we have this long center unit, which was actually 2 units put together. So that's super cool. So that's done. All right, and I'm loving it. I think they turned out really great, and I think it's going to look great in the blog. Okay, so now we're on step 5. If you're following along in the book, if you're not following along, grab a copy of the book. Sew along with us. You can just come on and chat a little bit. You don't even have to sew at the same time as us, but it would be fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I know other people are, and I enjoy seeing your blocks. Most people message me with their blocks so I can see what it looks like, or they post it on our Quilts for Survivors group, which is great. I love it. You do not have to donate this quilt. This is just something fun that I wanted to make, and I invited you along, and I'm glad you're here. So grab a copy of the book. We're on block 4. Again, buy it from your local quilt shop or buy it wherever you buy books. And that's what I did. I had to buy mine online because it was the cheapest place to buy it. So now you're going to take your D fabrics and you're going to take your F, totally different color. And you're going to make 8 of these units. They're flying geese. So the instructions, just a second here. The instructions for See Stitch and Flip Flying Geese, page 11. Page 11. So when I first cut these up today, I cut them wrong. I cut them too short, and I had to recut them. I worked on a foundation paper piecing project yesterday, and it really gave my brain a workout. I was showing, Kendrick was taking a look at my dragon fruit block quilt top that's finished, and he goes, "Wow, Mom, this is great." I said, "Yeah, it's all foundation paper piecing." He's like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, it was hard. It hurt the brain to sew that together because it's just a different way of sewing. It's just different." And I find it takes longer. All right, so we're gonna make flying geese. I'm just gonna cut this off because it's really long. Okay. We're gonna make some flying geese. Do 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 do. Flying geese it is. Okay, doing the stitching for the corners, really all you're doing is sewing from one end to the other, from one corner to the other. You can press the line, you can draw the line, you can do what I'm doing and use your diagonal seam tape, which is absolutely amazing to use. I love it. Well, maybe I'll do it this way. There's like a little bit of dinosaurs on my D fabric here. So I am trying to keep them. I'll lose the head. I'm gonna lose it anyways. There's Brontosaurus, the one with the big long neck. That's on here, and I'm like, I don't think it matters which way I sew it. I think I'm gonna lose the head anyways. I might lose a little bit of that dinosaur, unfortunately, but it's okay. You might wonder why I'm putting dinosaurs in a flower quilt. I just think it'll be fun and interesting. So there's a couple of comments. I'm just going to read them. So my points aren't pointing this week, and I've said of it. The weakness is just got to get sewed together and be a hot mess this week. And I'm okay with that. Well, perfect. Be okay with that. Do your best. Do what you can. And one thing you can do too, I was talking to someone who's a very experienced quilter sewist, and they said if you're, especially with flying geese, if your points don't match up, just make them a little bigger and trim them down so you can keep your points. I'm like, oh, hey, good to know. Because I was like, I never keep my points, hardly ever. And when I was first making them, and that was their tip to me, was just make them a little bigger and trim them down so that your point is in the right side. And do scant 1/4 inch if you need to. Do it a little smaller if you need to keep your points. Keeping your points is important. So I've made one side. I've done all the same side. I'm usually pretty consistent. I like to stay consistent. So because I chain piece, if I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to make it however many times, in this case, 8 times. I think I'm still going to lose 10. But anyways, again, I'm going to cut these. I'm just going to use my scissors. Again, if I was keeping them, I would most likely cut them. I don't really need any more bonus blocks. Anyways, I still have a large pile here to sew together. That's what those are from things like this. It's that cutoff. Those I find are just too small. I do gotta get those little guys for a bit. But we're making good time. Sewers, quilters, we are doing good time. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, those are done. Push that, get that out of the way now. Does she recommend? I think she just recommends pressing it this way. I could go back actually. Let's go back to page 11 to see what she actually says for the flying geese. Well, she shows how to make bonus half square triangles. So there you go. There is something in there about that. Yep, she just presses them out. So that's what I was doing. I wasn't going to change it anyways, but I was pretty sure that's how she did it. How she recommended it. So again, if you need help, check page 11 for the flying geese units. Yeah. And I don't starch my fabric and I don't pre-wash my fabric. I like to use it a little stiff, but I don't like to starch. So I don't starch. I do use a non-starch spray for flattening it. I don't always use it because sometimes I find I don't need it, but sometimes I find I need it because I just need it to get those creases out or whatever. Sometimes I need it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how the fabric is behaving. And I've never had any issues with doing it or not doing it. So there's my block. I'm doing the other side, making my little geese blocks. I'm using the Tula Pink Roar fabric because why not? There's sunflowers, there's stars, there's moons, there's dinosaurs, of course. I'm having a lot of fun using this. And I think it'll look really great. I might have to send it to Tula and see what she thinks about my quilt. Not the craftsmanship because I'm not an expert, but if she likes the fact that I'm using her fabric in maybe a different way. Will lose their oh, okay, that's important. Sometimes they put things on there and you think it's a comment, and it's just the AI thing telling you stuff. Okay, I got two more here to do. I'm having a lot of fun. So there's 8 flying geese, 4 for each quilt block. So remember, we're making 2 of these blocks. They finish at 16, unfinished at 16 and a half. Okay, those are done. I think I have a couple of extra pieces. Yes, for my square and a square. You will have extra, whatever letter this is, F fabric. You will. You need it. I need a bonus block. Go. Voila, voila. Perfect, perfect. Okay. These should be 4 by 2.25. So let's check these out. After I'll check them out and see. They should be good. I've made many of these, so I find it a little easier now to make them because I know how they're supposed to look and how they go together. I've made quite a few flying geese. I made a quilt with 215 flying geese units in it because I needed that number 215 because it represented the Kamloops Residential School unmarked graves, and that's what I needed it for. So trimming those off, looking at just out of the way. Of these seams. Just set them all, and then we know they're ready to go. And then roll it back. Just rolling it, pressing it back. I find that a lot of pressing instructions are the way you would normally press it, I feel. Okay, so now I'm going to check them to make sure that they are. We have a different ruler. I'm going to trim them. So how I trim them is I don't want to lose my 1/4 inch. I don't want to lose my point. So I trim them this way. I cut off from the bottom because who cares if that leaves? I don't need it. So these are supposed to be 2.25 by 4. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, if they're wonky, I will fix them. But I will check this side first. That one's okay. It's a little wonky. I might use my point on that one. That one's okay. These are actually not that bad. Just one. One is slightly just a little on the side, slightly wacky. Squaring up just ensures that, we know that it's the size, or almost the size in the case of that one block, that we need. Oh, that one's okay. Once I move the ruler to the right, I was looking at the wrong line and I was like, this isn't matched up, but it's the wrong line. Use your ruler correctly. Oh yeah, I lost his head, but I have his neck. That Brontosaurus, I think. Not that great with giants or names. I messed them up and then my kids correct me, which I think is sweet. Okay. All right, here we go. Bonus block, up there. All right, so here's all my flying geese. Now what do we have to do? Oh, now we're going to make a square in a square. So let's put all these pieces over there. So we're going to move all those up there. And we're going to make a square in a square. So we're going to take our A. And we're going to take our F. So what we should have left is 2 A's, some F fabrics, and some E's off in the corner. That's what we want. But we're going to take our F's, which is our fabric 19, whatever you used for that, and you're going to do square and a square, which is, you're going to snowball all 4 corners. It's going to be great. So we're going to do opposite corners, trim and press, then opposite corners, trim and press, and then we're going to confirm that it is a 4x4 block. Okie dokie. Okay. Let's go. So draw the line, or however you choose to do it. Use your diagonal seam tape. There's other things that you can get that do the same thing as diagonal seam tape. So find whatever works for you. You could just use, what is it, masking tape or painter's tape, washi tape, because they're not permanent. Those tapes are not permanent. The masking tape might be stickier than the painter's tape. It might be a little stickier. I think I would go with painter's tape, and you can mark, do your edge or something. You can buy a 1/4-inch foot that has a ledge on it so that your fabric can't go over it, but I find it hard to sew with because you can't sew it with everything. Like you can't do your triangles. We can make a lot of triangles, ask for triangles. You can't really use that. So that's why I don't use it. So I'm not keeping these ones either, because they're just too small. So they're still that under the size that I keep. So cutting off and pressing towards the quarter is what I'm going to do. I try to cut it as straight as I can, but I don't mind cutting this because I'm not keeping the other part. And my okay. I hear someone like right outside my house. I just want to make sure. I don't think there's any. Oh, it's not for beef. Okay. I didn't think here, but good to know. Good to check. All right. So let's do the other 2 corners, and then we'll square it up. It shouldn't change the size of the square. It'll just have happy corners. And I just sew when I sew with this, I just sew the speed that I sew. When I teach my class with Quilts for Survivor, I sew at a slower rate. I try really hard to sew at a slower pace so that we're sewing together. But I still sew too fast, I'm told. But you have to remember, I sew every day, hours at a time. Oh, excuse me. Not that I'm an early riser. I just woke up and couldn't get back to sleep, and I tried. I tried hard. Didn't work out. Okay. So that's done. This is done. We're going to trim those pieces. We're going to press them back. We're going to square them up to make sure that they're the size that we want them to be. And then I think we're at the point where we put it all together. So how we're going to do, how we're going to do is we're going to sew a mini 9 patch, and then we're going to use our mini 9 patch to make a larger 9 patch. The mini 9 patch will be the center of our larger 9. Which was very, very exciting. I don't think I need my scissors anymore. I have no more units to make. Woo woo! We are getting there, people. We are getting there. This is exciting. Okay. Okay. So these are supposed to be 4 inches. Have to cut 2 sides, it's almost bang on. It's so close to being bang on. I'm so proud of myself. Because square to square can be difficult to get right. So when it works, I'm usually very, very excited and pleased with myself. Happy that I can do that. Oh, I still feel that. I am learning how I sew, and I'm adjusting whatever I'm making to how I sew so that I get an accurate piece and my piece is the right size. And that's what I do. I make sure that how I sew, the block comes out to the size that's recommended in the pattern. That's what I try to do. And it's taken me quite a few years to really understand how I sew, how I press, how I cut, making sure that I do all of the things as accurately as possible. And I'm learning. I'm still learning. I still have a long ways to go. I'll never stop learning, but I'm having a lot of fun. And people are noticing, especially people who don't quilt. Like my family, some of my family members are not big quilters. And they've noticed how, like my dad, he doesn't sew at all. He's noticed how improved my quilts, my blocks are, how they just look more accurate. And that makes me happy. All right, so let's take all of our units and let's make a block. So I'm going to grab a board, a design board. If you don't have a design board, I recommend you get one. They are very helpful. If you can only get one, get the biggest size. This is an 18 by 18-inch square one. This is a Louis Holt one. You don't have to get that particular one, but it works really. I have found it to be very helpful in laying out my blocks. For one, it sticks to here. It's easy to move around. If I need to move it for whatever reason, it's easy to lay it out, have things organized. And I like them because if I need to leave for whatever reason, check on something or, step away from the machine for a bit to do something else, when I come back, everything's in order. Otherwise, and I do close my door because my cats would just knock everything on the floor. They're crazy. I did cut extra blocks I didn't need, which is fine. Okay, let's start. I am going to lay out the entire block. It does say that we need to make the center first, which we will. I'm just going to lay the whole thing out for it'll benefit me. It'll really help me. That's the only reason I'm doing it. So there's my center. Okay. And my board is bigger than my finished block will be, or my unfinished will be. Okay, so nothing else in there. Okay. So we need the square and a square, and then we need 2 pieces at the bottom, 2 pieces, 2 pieces at the side. You need that pterodactyl fly up the right way. That one there. Oh, this one. Can I switch? Maybe I'll switch this guy because it's his neck and this guy's walking. Okay. There we go. And then our corners will be E's. E. Now you might be looking at mine and going, hey, your E fabrics, like my flying geese, they are my E fabric. They are the same fabric. They are both fabric 14. I'll show you the fabric in a second. So this, I know it doesn't matter that way, but I want you to see my pterodactyl. So this is E fabric as well as this. This is the same, it is the same fabric. It is fabric 12. Just my fabric had a different kind of layout. Okay. Why 2 pieces? Why 2 pieces? What do you mean, why 2 pieces? I'm not sure. Can you let them know why 2 pieces? I'm not sure. Yeah, you look really tired, Mom. Go have a snack. It's almost bedtime. I'm not sure what the question was about the why 2 pieces. We're making 2 blocks because that's what the pattern says. That's what we need. I'm not sure what the other part was, and I apologize for that. Because I've seen the comment after. So if you want to comment again, why 2 pieces, I'll try to answer that. All right, then what we need is I'm making 2 blocks. That's why I'm putting 2 pieces there. Okay, because I got it now. Okay. I'm glad you got it. I apologize. I get focused on what I'm doing and I forget to look up. Okay. So we have no questions on the YouTube, which is fine. We don't normally anyways. Okay. So that's how that goes, right? No, I did that wrong. I did that backwards. Put the background to the outer side. Outer side. Background. These are going to go up here then. To the outer part. Okay. This is going to look amazing. Okay, then we're going to do the corners. All of our squares go in the corner. All of the background go to the outer border, outer side. So there we go. There we go. And there we go. And no, knock on wood, no mistakes yet. Last week I did have an issue with one of my, thank you. I think it looks really, really great. I do love the colors. Last week I did have some issues with my block 3. I was able to fix it. I made a whole, no, I didn't make a, I used some of the pieces to make my new 4 patch. And then I just snowballed the corners accordingly because I had made a mistake, but I was able to get the block completed without cutting any new fabric. So I had cut some extra pieces somewhere and it worked out great. So I was pleased. So this is my block. Look at that. That is so cool. And these change a lot because it's just the way the fabric was. So that's why I didn't cut different fabric. It's all the same. It's one of those border fabrics. Let me show you. So this is Roar. So at the top of this fabric, there's all the stars and moons and stuff like that. And then this is the bottom of it with all the dinosaurs. So I used the same fabric to make the pieces for that one. And then again, just gonna shake those little pieces off. With the Triceratops, it's the same thing. There's the Triceratops, and then there's this purple berry. I'm gonna call them berries fabric. So it just makes it look a little different. So that's why I didn't use different fabrics. The fabric I had different sections, and I used them. If that makes sense. Okay, so what we're gonna do, you do not have to. Yawn, because it's gonna make everyone yawn. Okay. I'm not gonna sew these pieces yet. I'm gonna focus on the center and make my center, then I'll make my larger 9 patch. So I'm gonna focus on my center and I'm gonna sew it just like a 9 patch. I'm gonna sew both of them at the same time. And I get 2 done at the same time. So let's get going here. So lining up these seams. Okay, so this I'm gonna make sure that I line it up. And I just watched where those 2 seams cross. I want to make sure I'm above them. I'm to the right of that so that I don't lose my points. Sometimes I still lose my points. It's not the end of the world. I'm getting better though at keeping my points. Or almost keeping my points. I'm not really cutting them off as much as I used to. Just trying to line that up. That's true. Okay, so there's 1 block. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other block. Lining them up as best I can. You can see that I don't pin. Pinning is always an option. I always say that I'm not a good pinner. That usually I have to take the pins out in order to sew it correctly, so why bother pinning it at all? There are occasions when I do need to pin, and I do that. Okay, so there's, now I'm going to cut these apart. I'm going to, oops, that's my bonus block. All right. I'm gonna just, what am I gonna press? Does it say how to press it? Press away, no. We'll press towards the center. Press away from the center. So yeah, I'm gonna cut them apart. But sometimes those connecting threads can just be annoying. So to save myself the annoyance, I'm gonna cut them apart. You can leave them. I've often left them. But for right now, just want to. Sometimes they just become a pain. They're only there so I don't have to cut my threads. They don't really serve any purpose. Oh, look, I really like it. Okay. And over here, looking great there. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to cut that other part off. I'm going to lay it on my mat. This also ensures that everything is laying the right way. You can see I'm just finger pressing. It just seems easier for me right now because then I can. Then I'm going to press this. I'm going to press this one. So this one, I did cut them apart again. Cut those joint threads. You can leave them. Sometimes I just find that they get in the way. I really wanted to make sure that I have the center really lined up. Really, really well. Center is a little bit. You could press it open, I suppose, if that is easier for you. All right, so 1, 2. I could just sew a bonus block and then I cut everything apart. Let's just make it easier on myself. You could cut your threads. I don't like those long threads, so that's why I don't do it. That's why I chain piece all the time. I don't like those long threads. All right. Let's cut this apart. I'm not going to cut that thread right now. I want them to stay together. Okay, so that goes that way, that goes in. Okay. This is upside down. Okay. All right, press out. The top and bottom. Press out. This you're going to press in. Okay. It's looking so amazing. Okay. Now I think I'm just going to cut that thread because it's just kind of annoying. I don't know why today it's more annoying than other days. It just is. Okay. What's because I only had one? I'm not sure. I really wanted to make sure my flying geese were lined up accurately. Sure that everything is going the way it's supposed to. You can press it. You can if you want. You can definitely take the time to press with your iron. I just find it's easier if I just maneuver my fabric as I sew it. Sometimes I will press it, but sometimes the time I don't know. Taking a break to line up different seams. I always sew with my needle when I stop, my needle's in the down position so that my fabric doesn't move while I'm adjusting something else. And that really helps. I never used to do that. It used to move all over the place. And then I realized I got to sew with it in the down position. Okay, there's my bonus block. I don't have to worry about that, but I can give it a little press. Yeah, that's pretty thick there. That's very thick seams right in there. Trying to hear that and change the sound a little bit. All right. Holding that back. And then pressing this. That. Make sure these are all pressed the right way. Step for this center anyway. Okay, and I think we're still making good time. Yeah, well, this wasn't so fiddly, we would be done by now. And I don't normally sew two blocks. You sew one and then be done. So I have the center done for both. I will only sew the outer part of it. At least while we're chatting. Okay. So nice and flat. These seams are so thick. I'm going to use my Easy Press pen. I don't know what it does to the seams, but man, it is like a miracle to these bulky seams. Put it on. I don't know what it does to fabric, or at least I haven't had it damage the fabric. Oh no, I need a new pen. I have to order a new pen. I don't know what it does. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It really sets those seams. Really gets them squished down. So they were so bulky. They're still bulky. They're just not as bulky. I don't know what it does. Honestly, I don't know. And it's never discolored my fabric. It's never damaged my fabric. So there we go. Let's just press all of this. I'm just trying to make sure that my seams are going in one direction, if I can. Okay, there is the center of our block, of our larger block. These need to measure, whatever they need to measure. Oh, 7.5. Okay, I'm gonna go over here to the larger cutting table. Smart. Oh, okay, great. Pretty colors. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna cut these at recommended size. If they are not, I'm gonna trim it up there. Not too much to trim. So I have, at this cutting table, I have some rulers and a rotary cutter. I just find it's easier than carrying my rotary cutter all over the room. Just have one here. Now, it's only been the last 10 to 5 years that I really started getting more tools and setting up I think I've only had my room here for maybe 4 years, maybe 5, I'm not sure. Then I moved into this bedroom to have a sewing room. And that's when I was like, oh, I gotta get this and I gotta get that and I gotta get this. Because it worked. Okay, so there's the center. I know the sun is shining so bright. There's the center of our larger block. So I'm going to turn you back around to where you were previously. Okay, it's looking great. All right. Oh, and I do have a right way and a wrong way for this block to be here. Yes, I want to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to sew one together. So now it's a larger 9 patch. We'll just start at the top and stitch. I'm just going to stitch one. And then I'll show you. And then let's just find the one. I'm going to shoot it down here. I thought we're doing really good time. This one, I'm so excited to see this finished. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Okay, well, maybe you do if you're making it. Just so excited. That was nice and a nice and easy flow. Oops. There's not a lot of seams to line up. So I like that. And you pressed it well. I hope you pressed everything really well. I feel like I did, and things are just going together really, really nicely. Okay. Bonus block down. All right, let's open it up here. Open this bonus block out again. It's more than just a scrap. They're more than just a scrap. They're a usable unit when I'm done with them. They're a usable half square triangle. Okay. So this piece to here. Ooh, close. This is so exciting. I think this might be my favorite block. Just the placement of the fabrics. I hope you get. That's my fear. Not fear. That's my concern is that this goes in. This goes in. Is that it will be too busy and I won't like it. Think so far. Oh, I think it's going to be okay. Shall see. We shall see. But it is going together really, really nicely. And that brings me joy. I am determined to only make things that bring me joy. It doesn't mean there won't be frustrating moments, but I'm not going to make something that doesn't, so if the pattern is a challenge and it might be a little bit of a on the brain, I'm going to use extra cheerful fabric to make sure that something that I'm doing, already has that little joy element in it. Because life is just too short to not have fun. I still want to learn. I still want to create. Still want to challenge myself, but some part of the aspect of that has to bring me some joy, even by making it. Just tossing my bonus blocks all over there. I do have a container. I will stick them in there after. Okay. So here is the almost finished block. Look at how pretty it looks. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now I did leave the strings attached this time. It wasn't as difficult because they are a little, and their seams are nesting. Oh my gosh. That is a happy moment when your things line up and they're nesting. Oh my gosh. And you know you've done something right when your seams are nesting. And they're bringing you joy because they're nesting. I forget which way this was out. Okay. This is bringing me very, very much joy and happiness. So you can see that I stop every once in a while to realign my fabric, to check my seams, to make sure everything is lining up very nicely. Okay, bonus block. I almost forgot what I was doing. Bonus block. We'll cut that bonus block off. Cut that. Okay. Oh, no. All right. So we are making block 4 of the Flower Farm sampler. You do need to purchase the pattern in order to sew along. But it is a fun, it's a sampler quilt. You get a lot of, I think there's 16, I was going to say 18, there's 16 different blocks. What is the front of the book says something. Oh, 18 floral blocks plus 7 fanciful units. 18, oh yeah, 17, 18, okay. Okay. Didn't look everywhere. Okay, so this goes in, no, this goes in. Now I'm confused. Which one goes in? This one goes in, okay. Just trying to make sure all my seams are going the same direction. I did not press these prior to, I just am sewing it together. I will have to use the bigger iron to press this. It's a large block. My bobbin is running low just at the end. Crazy bobbin. And everything up. Checking, double checking, triple checking, whatever I need to do. Make sure. Just turn that off now. I'm going to cut my thread so that I know I have to change my bobbin. I'm going to put a bobbin there. So I know when I have to go sew my other block, then I need a bobbin. So let's go over to the larger pressing table. We're going to just, this little, I bought a tripod that rotates, it has wheels, and it's very cool. I think it's cool. Okay, so we're going to wait for our iron to heat up. So you can see that my ironing station has a little look-through shelf where you can get stuff from either side. It has a pegboard. I have a little basket here with like my water bottle and spray bottle and my flatter and all the things that I need. Whatever I need in there, it's in there. I'm just waiting for my iron to heat up. It had fallen asleep. I'm going to cut that piece off. Is there another thread? No. Okay. Just easier to press it with a larger. Those blocks are amazing. Thank you. I don't know if she's still on, but thank you. Okay. I think it's heated up. Yeah, it's heated up. Okay. So we're going to press the seam, set those seams, and then just roll them back. And if your iron is nice and hot, it makes it so much easier to press your block. If your iron is nice and hot, it makes it easier to press your block. What sounds like a rhyme? I love it. Okay. I don't mind using a little bit of steam if I need to get this block. This block is not as flat as I would like it. Trying to find my. Thought I could reach it. It's too short. Okay. I'm gonna put some flatter on it. There we go. Just to get it nice and flat, obviously. Just so it rests nice and easily. There. It's pressing a little better. I've never had an issue with it do any kind of discoloring to my blocks, whether I use it wet or dry. There's a seam here that I could tell from the front was not laying the right way because it puckered my fabric. I never used to care. You know, I should just press it and be like, well, it didn't work, whatever. I'm not going to repress it. Now I'm learning, no, take the extra time to press it. Okay, are you ready for the reveal? I just got to make sure that whatever I have at the top is at the top. Okay, are you ready? It is. Look at how beautiful that is. I think it turned out so great. It's so pretty. And it looks different because I used all kinds of wonky fabrics. So there's some dinosaurs in there. I think it looks amazing. I'm so pleased. Okay. I'm sure some of you are still sewing. Could possibly still be sewing. So I'm going to sew my other block together because I can and I want to get it done. So pretty colors. Thank you. Marlene says, I'm still using an ironing board. Oh, I haven't used an iron. Well, I use an ironing board at the studio. This was a gift. So my pressing table was a gift from some friends. I've been dreaming of getting this for a long time, and I still wouldn't have it if it wasn't for my wonderful friends. So I can't take any credit for that other than I'm who they bought it for. So I really appreciate that. I love it because it has storage. There's 3 shelves. There's a pegboard at the back. Oh, I want to my button. There's a pegboard at the back. And it's just really nice. But we use ironing boards at the studio. We do have someone donated. I don't remember. She was from Barrie, I think. I don't remember your name, and I apologize if she's ever hears this. She donated an ironing board cover it was her husband made it, I think, and it was made out of wood and had a cushion in it, you know, fabric that you could iron on. And she donated that. And then Marcy, one of our local volunteers, made other covers. Similar to that. There we go. Sorry about that. And those were great because we have wide ironing boards already, but these make it even wider and make it really like a really good use of space. However, there's still no storage. I have an issue with ironing boards and their lack of storage. I do. I just do. I have an issue with that. I have a really small space here. This is a very small room. It is the master of the house, but it's not very big when you get all your sewing stuff in here. And I wanted, make cutting table, and I have two, and I wanted very specific things. And so I didn't want an ironing board that just don't want to have enough storage. That's my issue. I know that's my issue. And the same with my cutting table. It's an old dining room table. It's like a square style table. So it's a good height. It's a good counter height. I'm gonna have to cut these apart. And I like that. What I don't like, oops, this gets pressed in. Actually, I think I'm gonna try pressing it because I know this is supposed to go in and see if it'll probably just go together better. There we go. But there isn't, you can get, it has a small storage, but not a lot. I love storage. I always need somewhere to put something. So I'll leave that one attached. So let's sew this one now. So again, just sewing these together. So we've already made this block. It's behind me. I don't know if you can't really see it. You can move it over, and then you can see it. At least on one of the channels, you can see a little better. So there's the block. It looks really cute. It looks different than the one in the book because some of my fabrics are a little different. And I love that about crochet, is that you can change a block just by changing the fabrics. You really can. Okay, what am I doing? So I listed this, okay. And I love that. I absolutely. Here you go, stitching. Oh, my petal is gliding out of the way. It makes it harder to grasp. And I need this piece. So exciting. Right, just lining it up. I'm gonna sew a bonus block just so I don't have to worry about anything. Okay. My petal might be fine. I know the other one, the petal right. Okay, so now this one is going. Oh yeah, I was pressing this one with the iron just so that it matches up. Yes, nice. We'll be able to go together a little better because I pressed it. Because the first one I didn't, and I had a little bit of issues with this particular section not pressing, laying flat. So we'll see if it helps if I pre-press it. I'm assuming it would help. I didn't press the top and the bottom, but I pressed these larger pieces together. So hopefully that helps it nest a little better. And then iron a little better. Oh, maybe. It probably is. I think this is better. Iron. Definitely iron. It's definitely going together a lot easier because I only ironed the center piece. Not that I had any issues with the other one, but going together really nicely, and I'm hoping it just presses a little better at the end. We got full blocks sewn together. Quilters, this is amazing. I realize you may be at a different spot. You may already be done. But this is such a fun. Okay. Let's sew this final piece. This is the final seam. And we did have to change bobbins. That's all right. Stitch down. Always a quarter of an inch seam. Nesting. That seam right there. Nothing else really needs to nest, just that. There's two seam. Everything else just kind of lays nice together. Okay. Oh, that one did not want to lay. I can't say. Go figure. When I flipped it back to the way it's supposed to be, it didn't seem to argue at me. So it was just being a stink. That's one more bonus block for the evening, and I am done. I did print out my blockhead 6, which I will probably sew tomorrow or Friday or Saturday or something. I haven't picked the fabrics yet. Can't remember what it looks like. Oh, I do green. I don't know if I can. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to really watch my colors for that one. All right, let's go press this and then we'll be done. I'm excited to show you this one as well. So as I walk around, you can see all the other projects that I'm working on. I'm always working on something. I always have something on the go. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you can see I have my big woods quilt on the back here. I have some pieces of it over there. It's really long. It's huge. I would need I think I need 12-foot ceilings in order to hang any quilt up and not hit the floor. I do not have a house with 12-foot ceilings. Not on my upper floor. My main floor has 10-foot. That might be okay. So I set the seams and then I'm just rolling everything back. Yes, this definitely pressed together a lot nicer. I don't know if it was sewing any differently, but it definitely seems to be pressing a little better. Really true? I have no idea. But I think so now this section here looks different than this section over here because this part has only the berries and the flowers, and this part has this triceratops, which I think is okay. I ain't gonna worry about that, and I wasn't going to fussy cut them. I just didn't have enough. I just didn't do it that way. I think it looks really cute though. I am so excited. So this should be 16.5 inches square. I'm pretty sure. Yep, right there it's good. And right there. So it is. It's 16.5. Might not be perfect, but I checked 2 sides and it looks great. So let's just swing back around here. There's the other block. So exciting. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I knocked that right off of the thing here. I'm just going to stand you up right there. All right. So there's our final block of the evening. We have done 4 of 18 blocks. Super amazing. There we go. My pterodactyl is flying. He's going the right way. I'll have to make sure that when I put the quilt together, that I make sure he's up at the top because he looks really good there. I'm really pleased with how the blocks turned out. I don't think they look like the block in the pattern. They look similar, but definitely not the same because of my choices of fabric. But I think they look wonderful. I am really happy. I cut a couple extra blocks. That's okay. I can use those for something else. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope your blocks turned out to be a success. Beautiful, love it. I'm on the last row of the second block, putting it all together. Perfect, Missy. I thank you so much. It's perfect. So pretty. Thank you. I am very pleased that you came on and you joined me this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy whatever is going on in your neck of the woods, I guess. And thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it, and I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. See you next time. Chimigwech.